to tell you a story called Never Give Up. So, life is like a race, right? Life is like a race. And let's say you're running a race like this guy. Hey, hello. And there's 4 stops along the way before you get to the finish line. There's 4 stops along the way until you reach the finish line. And remember this, life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So for you to win, you have to finish the 4 laps around the track. Say there's a track, right? You have to run 4 laps around the track, and whoever crosses the finish line first wins the race. Whoever crosses the finish line first wins the race. So before you get to the race, right? Before you get there, before you run the race, you have to get to the race, right? You can't just pop out of nowhere and say, "Oh, I'm here." Well, you have to get to the race. So in order to do that, you can't go far if you just quit. And you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So you start off doing well, and let's just say you're exhausted from the hot sun. Well, are you gonna give up? Are you gonna give up because it's too hard or is it too challenging? No, you're gonna do this. And if you feel like you can't do this, say this: you can do this. You can do all things through Christ who can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. God is with you and God is for you. So you have to be strong in life. When life throws those curveballs at you, it has it behind its back. And when it throws those curveballs at you, you have to be a brick wall, like a brick wall. Say for instance, you run into a brick wall and try to get through it. Well, you're not gonna be able to get through it, right? Because it's planted to the ground. It's right. It's nice and stable. You have to be that in life. You have to be strong and stable, like a brick wall that is unbreakable. So you got to the race, right? You got to the race. You were exhausted by the hot summer. Exhausted by the hot summer sun, but you remember that you can do this. And just because the sun is hot doesn't mean you can't run the race. Doesn't mean you can't run the race. So you do that, and you're on the second lap. You finished the first lap, you got it done, but you're now on the second lap. Now you start feeling a little bit discouraged. You start feeling like you can't do it. Well, throughout the race in life, you have to encourage yourself. You have to encourage yourself throughout the race. And what I mean by yourself is sometimes there's not always going to be somebody there telling you you can do this or stay strong. And what you need to tell yourself that is encouragement is key. Why is encouragement key? Is because it's positive and uplifting. And I want to read the scripture to you from the Bible. It says, John 15:11. It says, "These things I have spoken unto you, that they might remain in you, and that your joy might be full." I'm going to say that again. "These things I have spoken unto you, that they might remain in you, and that your joy might be full." And this scripture kind of reminds me of your battery bar on your phone. Say for instance, a battery bar on your phone say for instance you charge it, right? You go to bed and it's at 18%. Well, you're gonna charge it because you want it to last the next day, right? To 100%. Well, your joy battery bar needs to be at 100%. You have to be that. Encouragement is key. And so you're running that race, right? You're running and everything, and you feel like you can't do it. Well, you have to overcome the negative thoughts with positive ones. You have to overcome the negative thoughts with positive ones, because negative thoughts are going to help you. You're running that race and you start feeling negative. That's not going to help you, because what you don't realize is this: when you're negative, and when it starts with your mind, you start doing negative things and it shows on the outside. So you can't do that. You have to stay positive. You have to overcome those negative thoughts with positive thoughts. So you get the second lap done, right? You've done the second lap and you're done with that because you stayed encouraged. You didn't let the negative thinking discourage you. Now you're running, right? You're passing the crowd. You're running and you're passing the crowd, and you see your family. You see everybody else. Say you're at your school and you're running out your school. You see everybody else from your school, but you look around. You look around in the crowd, but you can't see your best friend. You can't see your best friend. Your best friend of yours. You can't see them, and they promise you that they would be there. They promise you that they would be there. They would show up and be there, your number one supporter, but they're not there. This is why you don't rely on people. You have to rely on God, because you never know. One day they're as trustworthy as can be. One day they're all your friend and everything, but then they forget and they don't come to the race. They don't show up to the race. Don't rely on them. And sometimes in life, you remember I made an example back that you have to be solid. You have to be a solid brick wall, but sometimes you have to be an independent person, solo, only man. You have to be independent, solo, and only man, because you can't rely on them, because you never know what may happen. Because say for instance, you put all your trust in your friend that they're gonna be there. You say, okay, they're gonna be there, or she's gonna be there, and you're like, okay, they're gonna be there. but you put all their trust in them, and then when they don't show up, that ruins your whole race. That ruins your positive energy. What you do is, like I said, fight those negative thoughts with positive ones, and don't rely on your friend. So now you finish the third lap. This is where it gets very interesting. You finish the third lap, and now you're on the fourth lap, the fourth and final lap, the lap that determines it all. So you're on the fourth and final lap, and you look behind you. You're like, oh, nobody's behind you. Well, they're behind you, but they're way back in your desk where you left them. You're running, and you don't see them. Well, just because you don't see them, just because they're not directly on you, doesn't mean you stop running, right? You're not gonna do this. I guess nobody's behind me. I guess I just wait for them to catch up. No, you're going to end strong. You're going to make sure you finish your race. Just because, say for instance, you're halfway done with the lap, and the finish line is across the track. You're not gonna stop right there and wait for the other people to catch up to you. No, you're going to end strong. And it's like that in basketball. Think about basketball. When you're dribbling the ball, say for instance, you're bouncing the ball, dribbling the ball, and you go for a layup, right? Just because nobody's on you, you're not just gonna throw it up there, right? You're not gonna throw it up there. No, you're gonna make sure you have the ball gripped in your hand correctly, right? You're gonna have it, dribble, and then make sure you get the ball to the target and make the basket swoosh, just like that. So just like you're running the race in a track or marathon, just because nobody's directly neck and neck to you doesn't mean you're gonna slack off. It doesn't mean you're gonna stop and wait for them to catch up to you. No, you have to finish strong and end strong. But guess what? You made it. After staying encouraged, after getting to the race and saying that you can do this, after not relying on your friend, you finished the race. You crossed the finish line. And just like my book, there's a guy, he's breaking the ribbons of a finish line. He finished the race. Just like you. You made it. You crossed the finish line. And you want to know how? You may be wondering, how did I finish the race? How did I do all that? Well, because you didn't give in to the pressure. You didn't give in to the pressure at all. You didn't give in to the discouragement. You didn't give in to any of that. You made sure that your joy battery bar was at 100%. You made sure that you stayed encouraged. You made sure that you didn't let the discouragement topple over you. And most importantly, the most important thing of all time is that you, my friend, you never gave up. No obstacle and your way didn't let it topple over you. You pushed it out of the way. You were a brick wall. You stayed encouraged, and you never gave up.